Good morning, traders. Welcome to our daily webinar. Since this one will be on YouTube, welcome to all my YouTube viewers. I hope you like it. And if you do and you find it interesting, please share it. So today I'm starting with gold because I post on my YouTube channel, there's a gold chart, a gold webinar. If you haven't seen it, please go look at it. It's very short. It's only about 5 minutes, I think. 5 to 6 minutes. I will be posting these 3-4 times a week, maybe 5 times a week. The more I find interesting things to post, I'll post them. So I'll probably have to bring this one up for you to take a look because I want you to see something interesting in the comments in it. So please go flash gold trade. I would go through it and tell you what it is, but I want to answer to this one comment that this guy made. Somebody should go tell him. Oh, anybody wants to tell him. So if you're that person, I would like you to come and tell me. I really want to know what is it you want to tell me. So I actually have an idea what he was trying to say. What he was trying to say is that we're looking at a daily pattern of gold. And based on this daily pattern, we have seen this like a million times. When you have this move, you have this move, when you have a big consolidation here, the higher probability is that gold will come back to the low. So when I posted, gold was exactly about the top here. And the war broke out and gold went up a little. And my friend freaked out because he is chasing news. He believes that the news is telling him what he should do. I hope he didn't buy gold because if he buys, he's probably regretting it at this moment. The probability of gold coming back to this is about 80%. Now, here's the question. Does it have to really come right now? No. If you understand anything about patterns, this could even go back a little more. It could even go a little higher, but it's going to come down and you're going to have a running flat pattern. Now, if you've been following me and you know anything about pattern or you learn anything, you would understand how this works. When it breaks this top, I am not buying. That's the point. That's all I'm saying. That when it breaks the top, if you get a perfect buy setup and you buy, you still have to be careful because once it breaks the top, it's going to come back down. And if you don't believe me, ask the guy on Bitcoin who did it. Let me bring that up to show you because these are not just guesswork. These are patterns that exist. Remember when Bitcoin was breaking this top and what I said? I said, when it breaks the top, you have to be careful because it's going to fall. And the guy said, well, this guy is a fool. Don't listen to him because when it breaks the top, it's going to go to heaven, 200,000. Good luck to him for buying it at that point because it broke the top once. It came back and it broke the top a second time. And then he was in, I don't know what he was doing, but he was so, man, he was like, I told you it's going to go up. And I was like, okay, well, I'm not buying it. And I would not buy it. And then it started to drop. Congratulations. Patterns do work. This is what works. Not the dumb news you're reading anywhere or not the news that drives. Let me see if I can put this over to you guys because you're not wave traders, right? The news does not move the market. The market moves in news time. Those are two different concepts. The market does not move because of the news. It moves during the news. Now, you may say that's crazy to say, right? But here's the idea. Go back and look at all my long-term forecasts where I didn't know what the news was going to be, but I know what patterns are likely going to happen. And then you will see that the news is a moment they will use to make more money. That's all. So when the rest of the crazy world think that, oh my God, including all the news channel are telling you, oh, everybody's running to safety. They're going to run to gold. Gold is a safe haven for them. Okay, what's going to happen to the dumb people? They're going to buy gold. And when you're buying, who's selling to you? When you're investing all your money in the real gold, I'm not talking about spot traders. I'm not talking about our little traders like us. I'm talking about the people who are buying gold. Who is selling to them? Always ask yourself the simple question. If you're going to buy a ton of gold, who is selling a ton of gold to you knowing that there's a war going on? The guy who knows he can break your back. The people selling it to you, the people who have control over the price. The people who know that once they've sold it to you, they're going to drop the price on you. And then you will sell it back to them at a much cheaper price. Those are the people selling it to you. And I'm not talking about our little traders. Don't get too excited. You're not buying gold. You're speculating on the price of gold. We're all speculators. We don't own the gold. We don't get to hold that gold in our hands. right? So you don't buy gold. You're literally not buying gold. You're speculating on the price of gold. And if you speculate on the wrong side, well, good luck to you. Basically, the people who buy gold are actually trading real gold. So there are a lot of people who got scared. Oh my God, yes, we should go buy some gold now. Hedge funds, smaller hedge funds, those who don't know anything about how the market will work, they'll buy. And then they'll learn a lesson. Well, if they hold it long enough, gold will go back up. Remember I said that. Go back and look at my forecast. If you go back and you looked at the forecast I gave you, I said this pattern would be the B part of it because this is one coming into it. So eventually this will come here and go back up. Why would it go back up? Because this would be the B part of that pattern. So it's going to come here to some level at this here. Even if it goes a little higher, it will come back to this level, then go back up, then make a flat here. And then there's a likely chance it's going to come back there because you have this move into it. And when this is completed, depending on how high this end up, we would decide whether gold is going to go back up or whether gold is going to go down. And both of those possibilities exist because I showed you the monthly chart over here. I showed you this piece. See all this consolidation here? See all that consolidation there? We're literally doing the same thing here. So they'll probably come here, go back up there, and then they could either do this or they could do this. If you break the top once again with a pattern like this, then you're literally going to come back here because you have to come back to this level at some point. Then you can trend up. That's the way patterns behave. Why they behave like that? Don't ask me. The market is why they behave like that. The wars, the sanctions, the non-wars, the regular buying, the regular trading, the speculation, the manipulation, everything that happens that you don't even know about it is part of the price. It's priced in, it gets into that. Even the manipulation is part of what creates these patterns. So if you read the patterns and you understand them, you would probably be at an advantage rather than a disadvantage in chasing the news and pretending as if you know the news and you know what's going to happen and you're so smart. War. Tell him there's a war going on. I live in Russia, my friend. I know the Russian history. I lived there for 30 years and I'm still living there. I'm living there in Dubai. And you want to tell me, unless you're Russian born 30 years ago, unless you're a 60-year-old Russian, then you can tell me something about Russia. If you're younger than 30 years, and even if you're Russian, you can't tell me anything about Russia that I don't know. I was there before you were born. So the foolish person who says someone should tell him should probably slap himself in the face, watch in the mirror, and join my group. Because you would learn something. You would just not be so. Okay, let's go. I don't want to get too much in you. You'll learn something. Join the group. You'll probably learn something. Let's go back now to the 1 hour. So let's go back to the webinar and I'll start and show you. By the way, let's finish gold so I wouldn't have to do it. What we're looking for, we sold silver. This was our sell in silver. While you were jumping around crazy, we were selling silver and this is our trade. And we knew why we exited this trade because we knew some of my traders actually exited the trade here because we knew this was going to go back up. And now we're looking for this to see if it comes here and makes a small flag that we'll sell it again because there's a chance it could go back up. We could stay here for a while. And the longer you stay here, the higher probability you'll have to make a move down before you go back up. Now, will this move stop here or will this be the start of the big move? It doesn't matter. We're looking at each pattern individually, the small ones, the big ones, and everyone. And then we see how they develop. So even though we're looking for a trade, like this was a buy setup, but we did not buy. We knew there's a possibility to break it, but the risk to reward in that place is no good. And if you think you're smart enough that you can get every one of that, try it. You'll see it doesn't work well. So we're looking at this, and this might be a sell for us today. Now, I said might be a sell because if it goes too high, if this ends up going too high, we will not sell it. We'll wait for it to come back here. And there's a chance it will make a new high. And if we get a sell setup here, we'll sell that one. We're not buying it. This would be a buy setup, but I'm not buying it. I'm not buying gold and silvers yet because there's no buy pattern. The only way this becomes a buy for me is if all of this works its way up all the way to the top here, then come back here, which would be a sell, by the way, to the bottom here. And now we got a buy set up here. This would be a buy. That would be a perfect flat for a buy. So I'm not chasing the news. I'm studying the patterns. Think of the people who study earthquakes. They don't know the news, what's happening about earthquake. They study the patterns. And then they said, hey, we're likely going to have an earthquake here. We're looking at the patterns that we have on the charts that we are studying. And, you know, there have been a lot of action going on. Every time we see these patterns on the chart, we get an earthquake. It blows up. When you get this, well, something is going on there, but not ready for an earthquake as yet. Think of your doctor. Think of your cardiologist. When he looks, he doesn't have to open your heart, and he doesn't have to know all the reason why you have a problem with your heart. He just has to look at the chart and say, you have a problem. Whether it's because you're drinking, smoking, eating the wrong food, not exercising, you know, you're obese, it doesn't matter. Why is irrelevant to the fact that you have a problem with your heart? Because he can see it on the pattern. He looks at the pattern in the chart and he says, you know what, this is not the way the normal heart is supposed to be. And he can closely tell you what problem you have because he's seen those patterns many, many times. It's the same thing we do here. We're looking at each individual pattern and deciding whether we have a buy or a sell, and whether the buy or sell is worth taking, because there might be a risk factor to it that is not worth taking. That's all there is to wave analysis. And this is not Elliott wave, as one guy made a comment. This is something I created on my own. Of course, I studied Elliott wave. Of course, I studied Dow theory. Of course, I studied everything I could have found about wave theories before I created mine. But this is different. The way we look at patterns and the way we analyze charts and the way we label them is totally different. So you still want to tell me something? Go ahead, I'm listening. Please. Let's go now. Let's start the webinar. Dollar index. Dollar index, and we told you what we think dollar index could do. When we're looking at these patterns, is that there is an uptrend because we have probably made a contracting flat here. We've made a confirmation, and that was way before anything, any talk about war was happening, is that we assume that this is already a contracting flat and that we're going up. I also tell you that there's a high probability that we might come back for this someday, because when they get a sharp wave like that, they do come back. This was a consolidation that broke out. We thought this was the one that is going to make it. That one didn't happen. So we're making a series of sharp waves, slow waves, sharp waves. I still think we'll continue to go up. And we will eventually break that top. Now, somewhere along the line, somewhere along one of these, we might get a sharp pullback like that to complete the running flat and then finish the wave. But it's going to go up, right? So what we do is we look at each little pattern and decide whether it's a buy or a sell today. See, these were corrective structures. We broke that up. So if we broke that up and there's a sharp wave into it, the probability is at some point you will get a sharp wave down here, finish a running flat, and then you'll continue to go up. So there might be a sudden drop here. It might stay here for a while and then drop. It could consolidate here, make a new high, and then drop. All those are things that could happen, but the bigger pattern will still form eventually. So it's not as simple as here is a flag buy or here is a flag sell. As one trader was putting it, he said he always says there's a flag here buy, there's a flag there sell, or maybe it's going to go up. It's not that simple. And that is why even the training course you do is 6 weeks. And then after that, you have a whole lot of time to learn it, because it's not that simple as you might think. Right now, there's no setup, not to buy, not to sell. What do I think it's highly going to do? I don't trade what I think it's going to do. What I think is based on my experience. We trade the patterns we see. But I think there's a good chance this, especially if it comes back here, we'll make another flat like this. Probably another high. And then we're going to get this. We could get this eventually, I don't know, 6 months from now. That was what we call an extended running flat. We have many of them. We had shown you many of them in the chart before, where they just consolidate, go, consolidate, go, consolidate, go. But it's all consolidation. And eventually they come back here for this one. Give your running flat and then go. And that is why each piece of that pattern we study individually, separate. And then we said, okay, good, this is a buy today. But in the bigger picture, it could be a sell. So when you get the buy, it moves to a certain area, take your trade out. That's what we call trade management. And that's a very important thing, something that we've started to do and something that I've called and created as wave management. You will hear everyone talk about it now, trade management. You'll hear the talk about trade management a lot now. No one ever said trade management before. I said it. Because there is nothing like trade management, right? You'll take a trade, you'll have a stop, and you will have an entry, and that's it. Well, now we manage our trades. We don't even allow them to go to the stop loss. Silver, we're looking for a sell. We're looking for a sell in this one. We'll take this. If this stays here, if it goes higher, we will not. If it stays here, we'll sell it to this low. We're hoping that that breaks out. If it doesn't break out, we'll get out of the trade. We might consider a buy here in a very short term if we get a good setup for a buy here. Because actually, something I didn't tell you that you should know is we were trading some of these down as well. But those is within our group because those are control trades. You trade them, know the risk in it, and you know when you have to exit and when you have to enter. Those are very, very short-term trades. So we might take a short-term trade back to the top because we will break this top. And then we will sell it back down. Every sell after the break of the high, we will take because one of them is going to drop. Regardless of how high this goes. As long as it remains a consolidation, it's already a consolidation. Same with gold. We're looking for a sell setup. Right? We'll sell it if it doesn't break this low. If it doesn't break out, that'll probably be a break-even trade for us, which means if this drop here and we get this trade, it might be a break-even. If it goes higher, we will not sell it. And if it go back up, we'll sell again from the top. Would we buy this to the upside? Yeah, maybe. If my traders were there, they bought this to the upside because we know that 1, 2 is not enough. You need 3 minimum for the correction. So if they were there, they definitely, that was something we were thinking. We actually sold this in the gold to the downside. Not only this gold, we actually sold this gold. Same thing, we sold this here coming down. Close the trade. I think we closed it before it, somewhere at the bottom here, it was closed. And the same thing you're looking for. Now, this is a very nice one because this is actually an expanding flat. An expanding flat can become an expanding triangle. This sell is a good idea. Right? We're looking for a sell here. This could literally drop. And remember when we told you this would drop? Not today. Go back in my charts. Watch it. What we were telling you when we were at the bottom here. When it was doing this, I said this is a running flat. It's going to break out of this top. And any sell setup we get anywhere, we will be taking it. Regardless. We knew that was going to happen. So we'll see. You will follow me. And if you follow me and you like the charts, you will see whether it comes down here. Don't pretend you didn't see it. We'll all see. Just like Bitcoin. You saw it. You were there. You were at the webinar. Go back and look at that date of the webinar. You'll know. So we're looking for sell setups, not buys. Go ahead and you buy it if you want. We're not buying it. Not as yet. We don't have any buy setups here. What we have right now today is a nice sell setup, actually. It's forming. Again, just like we sold this. This would be a sell setup. This needs to go back up. I think it needs to come down, go back up, make a flat here. And if the flat stays within this range, we're selling this one to the downside. It could go as a contracting flat, which means all of these waves doesn't necessarily have to happen. But a sell entry, we are going to have a sell entry there and we'll monitor it. We have rules on how to enter and how to exit and when to exit. So for me, I'll tell my traders right now, put a sell setup right here. It could be a running flat. It doesn't actually have to come back now. It could drop, 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 go there, make a small running flat, then go. So it's a sell setup. Euro USD, go back to the 1 hour. It broke the top. It didn't go where we expected to go. We thought it would come here, but that's not a problem. It just means that the B wave is still continuing to go, right? So you can take this out and you're still in the B wave. You're still in this one. 1, 2, 3, you get another correction. They drop. If they make a correction here, they'll probably make a correction here, drop, maybe make another one up like this, give you another flat, drop again, then go up. That is okay. That's part of how structure develops. And we know that. So this trade we took and we closed it. Do we have a sell setup here? Absolutely. It's a sell setup, but this is not a sell setup where this trade is going to drop. You know it's not going to drop. That's the whole point. When you get this, if you sell this, the likelihood is it might just even break this low and go back up. Now, if it gets bigger, and I hope it gets bigger, I hope it doesn't drop, it stays here and consolidate. It means it's going to come here, go back up. We will not be selling this. We'll be looking for the sell from the top there when it does that. Break the low, and then we're looking for the buy. If it repeats another flat like this, we wouldn't be selling it, buying it as yet. We will let it happen, and when it breaks the low, we'll be buying. We'll be selling and buying in that range, depending on the size of the range. See the difference? That's the difference. The difference is how we look at each pattern individually. Boom. And how they develop. We're looking for a buy, and it's still a buy until it comes lower. This is still a buy. Actually, the buy would go here until it comes lower. What do I mean by that? If this actually drops, and it comes back to this low, it will go back up. We may or may not buy it, depending on whether there's risk to reward and there's a flag here to go to the top. Makes a flat, and it's going to drop again. See? Now, if you don't see that, or you can't see that possibility, you need to learn wave analysis, because we can see that possibility. And what does that mean when this flat happens? If let's assume for a second that it did what I say it's going to do, it did this, it made that flat and it dropped it. What's next? Upside. Or another flat, drop, then upside. Or another flat, drop, then upside. You follow what I'm saying? That upside is going to come because you have an upside here. And regardless of what you think it happens, again, if you don't think it's going to happen, Bitcoin. Every time you tell me you don't think it's going to happen, I'll remind you Bitcoin. And when gold happened, I'll remind you gold too. So then you would know that they actually happen. Aussie. See? You can see the patterns, how clear they are. Look at this. Look at this big flat. Remember when this was going up, we said, watch these sharp waves. We don't know which one it is. Is it this one? Is it this sharp wave match with that one? Or because this is corrective, this sharp wave match with that one, and this is a smaller one? Well, it turns out that's a smaller one. And what that means is we're making a smaller one here. That was a buy, closed. So we're making a smaller one like this here. We're making something similar to this, not exactly the same thing. So I expect them to go up here, come back here, maybe make a flat in this, go break the top. So we will stay sideways for a while. I don't think we're dropping. And then we're going to go break the top. Let's go back. I'm just going to give you lessons on wave analysis here. Let's go back with this is not the right one. Let's go back with this, the options. Let's go back with this is all the correction. Here is all the correction. And this was actually the right flat. Then what's going to happen here? This has to come down to this level, go back like this, make a flat here, and we're looking for a sell. That's how it can change the pattern and thus change the view. We're not stuck with an idea that, hey, this thing has to make an ABC and it's going to go to heaven. We're looking at what pattern it's making. Let the chart tell us what pattern it's making. We don't determine what pattern it has to make. That's a huge difference. Elliott wave determined what pattern has to be made here. We're saying let the chart make the pattern. We know that pattern. If we understand it, if we can clearly see it, and it's something we know and we know how it's going to behave, then we follow it. That's all there is to it. Every now and then we will not get all of them perfectly correct. Sometimes it might go a little more than we expected to go. Like gold went up a little more than we expected. We expect the up move, but I don't think it's going to make a big spike like that. No problem. You're just not in the trade. You're not on the wrong side of the trade. You're not in the trade. You wait until you get the pattern that behaves the way you want it to behave, and then you are in the trade, right? If gold wasn't at the top of a daily pattern, we would have taken the buy. But because the top of the big daily pattern, that's a risk, not worth taking. Proves we are correct about it. Because if you took it, you'd have to close the trade really fast. If you didn't, if you close the trade, that's excellent. You did a good trade. If not, you're in trouble. So watch this here right now. It's going to make a flag. I think it's going to be a sell. It could stay here for a longer while if they come to this level. If it crawls up to the top, which is a possibility, this will become a flat. We'll go back up there. We'll come back here maybe and then make a new high. A lot depends. If it's just a small one like this, then it's probably just make a new high. After which we look for a sell because this still looks corrective. That doesn't change the narrative, just change how you look at this pattern, right? As the pattern developed, just like this one here. We thought this was all the flat, right? Remember when we thought this could be all the flat, that's the top and we're going to drop. And then it started to do this. We're like, okay, we figured that out. It's making a bigger flat. Probably this is the one. It makes a new high. Any sell setup we get, we take it to the downside. Same with this. Let it go break that top. And any sell setup you get, you take it to the downside. That doesn't change, right? So we're still looking at this as a correction for now. Right now, there's no trade setup. There's a small sell setup. If you want to take it, you can take it. It's a little risk, but you can take the trade. You have to know to get out of that really fast because this will not be the one that dropped. This is too sharp. That will be part of a bigger pattern. New Zealand, that was a buy, closed. Look for the sell setup. We don't have a sell here right now. This was a sell, closed. We're looking at this sideways. You might get a sell setup here today if this actually drops. But this is too sharp. So even if it drops, they'll come back and then go. If it goes back to the top, they'll pull back here and then go break the top. So which one would it be? We'll know tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll know that. We'll track it in our trading room and decide which one it is. CAD. And here is another one that I post for you. CAD was going sideways here, and I said, be careful, this sideways tend to break out. And if it breaks out, it's a big move to the upside. But that changed. You see why that changed? We did not go for the big bias here because it didn't behave the way we expected to behave. So instead of coming back to the low, it actually made a flat in here. We actually got a flat here and a break at top. So I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, and that is inside of this, which in wave analysis means you're making something more complex, right? It's not that simple. So this was a sell here for us on Friday, which closed. This one here, sell closed. Probably took profit out of that. And now, could this be a correction that we actually came back to the low? So could this be the bigger pattern now? Could this be the bigger pattern that will take off, right? Kind of a 1, 2, 3 for this one, sorry. And this is the deep pullback to go, or are we repeating this? Which makes sense. You get one down, you get one more up, one more down, you get one down, you get one more up, something like this up, you get it down here, and then you take off. That would make a lot of sense. We'll repeat this, and this would be one big flat pattern. Now, completing that pattern, the upside is ready to go. See how simple it becomes? Understanding the way the pattern change is more important for your trading. So if you bought it, no big deal. You still got out of that for positive. If you sold this, you got out of it for positive. And now we'll see what happens here, because if it makes a flag here, we will buy. If this turns out to be more of a small flag like this, we will buy. If it comes deeper like this, then we let it go back up. Probably let this happen. See if we get this sell, because the sell will break this low, and then we'll be looking for the upside. We're still looking for the upside on the longer term. The longer term picture is upside. This one is still upside, regardless of how many of these you make, right? See how many of these you had in here? 1, 2, running flat, upside. This would eventually become a running flat, upside. See? So eventually we'll get a running flat here. And when we do get the buy setup, we'll take it, which means any buy setup we get here, we'll take. If we get a buy setup today, we'll take it. If this becomes a flag, we'll buy it. Yen, we're looking for a buy here too. I think we're probably making a bigger flat in this area here, something like this. Come back a little like this, make a flat, and then we're looking for a buy. Can it actually drop through the low? Yeah, nothing's stopping it from doing that. But then that would be a different pattern. A pattern we don't have here right now. So I'm not looking for any sell setups. If it drops, it will have to drop, make a flag, and then I'll be in a sell. As of now, it's a buy setup. That's simple. I don't care what's happening in the world and whether you tell me that this is a safe haven currency, everybody's running towards it, and yen is going to get stronger. No, the chart is telling me a different story, and I follow the charts. Because guess what? Most of the time, the chart is correct. And all the news is just news. Entertainment. Swiss. Swiss, stay away from it. It's in a big consolidation, and it's probably going to take much, much longer than we think to finish. Starting from this point, all of this is a big consolidation. You can look back at it in the daily. It's just one huge consolidation in here. Look at this piece, see? One huge cluster. And I don't think they're finished. They could stay here for a good while and then come here and then go there. And then you get this flat. And then you get 1, 2, 3. And you've all seen patterns like that that drop or totally take off. Now, all of you have seen patterns like that. It's just that when you're in this cluster, you get confused. And that's okay. Because if you don't know wave analysis, it will confuse you. As a matter of fact, right now, it's even confusing me because it's becoming much more complex than I thought it would be. So all you have to do is wait until you can get all the pieces together, and then you will see the pattern very clearly. Or you can do what I just did. Put it in the daily, put those two lines, and said, as long as between those two lines, I'll stay away from it and trade something else until it's very clear to me. That's all. Now, although I've told you that, we do buy and sell inside of it, right? Which means if we see a good small trade on a lower time frame that is going to give us a good risk to reward trade, we take it, right? But I can't tell you that because that's something we do on the spot. For example, this one. This could probably have been a sell on the spot. If you look at this, this could be a sell on the spot. Of course, it's break-even trade, but it's something we would do. Now I'm looking at this, and if this comes back here and go back up and come here, we'll buy this. right? So if we get a flat in here, we will buy it, regardless of what I tell you, right? But this is something we will do in the trading room, quick, in and out, right? But we have to see that there is risk to reward in the trade, and that is a clear trade. Euro CAD. Great, Euro CAD fell, nothing surprising here. Remember this thing, when they come and they break the low, what you do, you look for buy setups. As long as you keep doing this, when it breaks the low, you look, it broke this low. When it broke this low here, we look for buy setup. It broke this low, look for buy setup. I think we're getting a buy setup here. See this? This is making, but I'm on the 15, sorry. And you're probably getting a buy setup here. It's not ready as yet, but there's a buy setup. For my traders, you can put your entry order on. We'll manage the trade back in the trading room. It's not ready. We'll take it off if it comes lower, but at this point, it's a buy setup. Very small running flat. Euros. Okay, we're probably making another big flat here. Can we make an argument that this one actually ended here as a bigger running flat? Possible. We'll leave this here for now. Right now, I think this is a sell setup here, but it's a very small one. See, they're not going very far, so they'll probably just drop like this, and there's a good chance they can do this for a 1, 2, 3, making another flat and then dropping again. Right? Now, the only question we'd ask is whether we think this, this, and this is one big flat. That might be the only thing. In any case, it still has to drop. Whether it's a big flat or not, the direction is the same to the downside, right? So now, any sell setup we get, we'll take, because we are out of the bigger structure. And that means any consolidation here could come back to break this low. This could be all the correction there is. If it starts to give a buy setup, I would really like to see sharp impulse, a correction, and then we'll start to trade it up to the top, assuming that this could still be the correction. So right now it's open for both ways. We're going to look for sell setups mostly because we're out of that structure, and we're actually making a flat. So sell setup is a more likely thing we're going to look for. There is no sell setup in it right now. This is a short-term one. Like I said, if you want to go with this, it's very short-term, 15 minutes trade. This is the consolidation. We'll probably go back up and then drop. Euro New Zealand. I don't think that wick is real. Let me just go back and pick another chart. This is trading view. Let's pick FXCM and see. Yeah, that wick is not real, like I said. So I'll do it in FXCM just for this purpose. And remember the daily, we are looking for that big move up that we said probably is no longer going to happen, because what I think is this is a long drawn out running flat. Remember the long drawn out running flats I was telling you about? Here is one sharp move. They get a flat, you drop, you get a flat, you drop, you get a bigger correction. You make another flat, you drop, there's a smaller flat there, you drop, then you do this. You match the sharp move, and now you do a flag here. We sold that. We sold a few more in here. If this makes another one, we'll sell, we'll sell, we'll sell. When it breaks the low, it's going to go back up. When it breaks this low, it's likely going to go back up. So let's go back to the 1 hour now. This was a sell. I think this was a sell. This was a sell. There's a sell here. We're probably looking for more sells in here. This is not clear to me as yet. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. If we get a flag, we'll sell it. Just wait for a flag under this. It could be over, or they could go up once more. Depending on how you look at it, it could be over. If you take 1, 2, 3, and then you probably factor this one into as well. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, sorry, then you'll have 1 down, 2 up, and then it's going to drop. If you factor that in. If you don't factor that into it, then you're assuming this is the first one, then you have a 1, 2, 3, this is 1. They actually pull back and went back up. So you have to factor this into that. Any flag you get here would become a sell. Any 1 hour flag we get would become a sell. Can it go back some more up back to the top? Yes, it can. It can be more complex than it is right now, but any flag we get would be a sell setup. Euro Swiss. This is a perfect buy. Closed at the top there. You can see why you close it. My traders know why we're tracking it to close. This sell, I don't know if anyone took the sell. I wasn't in the room at that time. But if you take it or not, that's irrelevant. You're coming back to the low. We'll probably break the low again, and then we'll look for buy setups again, which means this is coming back here. It will drop beyond this low. And then we're looking for another buy setup. I don't think the sell setup is in play right now. No, we'll look for another buy setup again. So let's let it go. Let the sell happen, and then we'll look for the buy. There's a sell setup forming here right now. It's a flat, not a flag. This one probably come back here, make a small flat like this. You had some of these here. See this one, and then it drops. You had a small one here. You had a small one here. So this would be a bigger one. If you get a good sell to break that low, might make sense. That could be a nice trade, a short sell, and then upside. Euro Yen. That was a buy, closed. We didn't break out. We're coming back to retest the low. So we can either put this like this now as the running flat. I think that makes more sense for the running flat, which means we have a sell setup here forming. Small one, bring you down to the bottom here, and then the upside. So there's a trade here. Euro Swiss has the same thing. Euro and New Zealand will go probably lower. Euro, we don't know how low that is going to go. Euro Yen has the same structure because this is a big daily sideways. I think you can see it, right? Now they can go lower than this point. It doesn't have to stop here, but once it breaks the low, for me, what it's telling me, the criteria for the end of the structure is there. Not necessarily the end of the structure, but the minimum requirement is breaking the low. So when you break the low, that could be the end of it, and then we're going up. So this is a big sideways move, and we're going to hope that this one takes off. It could stay in the sideways for a while, but who cares? We're going to buy it back to the top. So there's a sell setup here now today. I think this one is pretty clear. It's almost ready to go. But let it go back up to the top here first, and maybe stay a few more of this, and then you get a flag here, and then we'd look for that sell. Euro pound. Okay, this one we didn't do anything with it because it's not clear, and it's still not clear. If you get a sell setup here, we'll take it. Take this out and take this out. If we get a sell setup here today, we'll take the trade. Pound CAD, that was a perfect sell. There was a second sell here. We didn't take it because the consolidation was more at the top there. Now it broke the low and they're going back up. Great. We can go with a running flat here. I think we can assume that's a running flat. If we get a buy, we'll take it. Yep. If we get a buy there, we'll take it. And we're getting a buy setup, I think, on the 1 hour. And then wait for the flag. It's making a flag now, put an entry order above the top. It's making a nice small flag, put the entry order above the top. Pound Swiss. That one closed because it stayed there for too long. It didn't go. We closed the trade. It's coming down. I think we'll probably break this low. We'll probably break the low, and then we're looking for the buy setup. See? So Pound Swiss is giving us a flat for upside. Pound CAD is already trying to go up. Pound Oz is going sideways. It could go back at any time to the upside. Just a big sideways. Probably even a little more down. But if it starts to go up now, we'll look for buy setups. There's actually a buy setup forming right now. We're taking that trade. Pound Yen came down. We bought that one, didn't go. It's making a bigger flat. So again, remember when I said this is the impulse down and this is the consolidation, and it will have to come back to this low. Go back and watch the webinar and go back and read the comment for the guy who said this is bullish. Said you keep saying every day, oh, it's going up, it's going up. Yes, it's going up, but that's a consolidation. And I showed you that if you try to trade it, there's only 2 possible good trades you would get in it. All the rest of the trades you'll probably have to close. And if you didn't close them, well, good luck to you next time, right? So what we have here now is a big pattern that looks like this. This is not as aggressive as this move down, but there were a lot of corrections at the top there. So if we look at the 2 of them as similar for a 1, 2, 3, which broke the top, there's a good chance this could go back up, make a new high, right? So we see Pound Swiss having the same situation. We see Pound CAD having a similar situation. So there's a chance this could go break the top, right? It breaks the top and then it could totally fall, because we would assume that this here is the running flat in the middle there, right? Now there is still an option that this could be the running flat. 1, 2, 3, which means they break the top, come back low, and then go. We would see where we put this afterwards. They're a place to put it. There's a lot of smaller, sharper moves to the bottom there. But let's keep in mind that this flat here has a high probability to go. Let's take out all of this now and let's work with the other option. Is there another option that this is the top or this one is the top? Let's assume for a second this here is the absolute top. That was the running flat and this one broke the top here. This is the absolute top and this is trying to drop. Well, you would have to make a flat here. And if we get a flat here, we will be selling. See? Now, I don't think it's the absolute top. Again, go back to the 1 hour. There's a good chance we're going up. That's why we bought it. We closed it. Now, depending on whether they'll make a new low now. If you look at it this way, they'll make a new low. If they consolidate in this range, if it consolidates in this range here and go back up, we'll wait for a flag above here and then we'll buy. Right? You can buy into this one here, but you can sell into this one, which means if you get a sell set up here, this could be a sell to come and break the low and then go back up. They don't have to break the low, but they could break the low and then go back up. So there's a sell setup. I would not be selling this again. I'm not sell this because I'm looking at the pound CAD, the pound Swiss and all that. There's not a good sell setup here. I'll leave the sell alone. And then we look for the buy. If it's going to become a sell, break this low. Right, break this low, make flags under that, and then we will sell for the longer term trade to the downside. Now, I hope that is clear. It might be clear, but you may not understand why is it. Pound New Zealand, it's a running flat, so I'll be very careful. There's a chance it's going to come down from there. I'm looking at this as a possible running flat, so this could make a flag here. This would be a perfect sell if we get a flag there, right? If it makes a flag somewhere on the way down, would be a perfect sell. Can it actually go up from here and this is not the running flat? Let's say this is a contracting flat. This is the low and it's going up. Give me a flag here and I'll consider to buy. Now, would I buy this one? Maybe not. I'll buy the pound CAD, pound Swiss. I'll buy the ones that has the higher probability in them. Not because I don't think that is going to go up, but this has a better probability to go up than the pound New Zealand. So if I have to risk my money, I'll risk it on the pound Swiss or the pound CAD, for example. Pound CAD, that's the best one for the buy. For the sell, pound New Zealand, absolutely. If I get a flag, I'll sell it. Aussie Yen. Aussie Yen went up, came back down. That was a buy, closed. We had an entry above here. That didn't go. It's coming down sharp. So right now we'll have to wait and see whether this correction is more complex than I think it is. Right? Because I thought this was all. We didn't break the top. We didn't break the low. So we could still be consolidating in the middle here, which means we could come back here, go back up and still come here. It will still be the same pattern, just more complex. Right now, there's no trade setup. There's a sell setup, but I would not be selling this as yet. Little too early. If it broke the top, I'll be selling, but it hasn't broken the top. So we're still in this big consolidation and let this part tell me what it's doing before I get into any trade. So now we bought, we took profit. Now I'm waiting for the new setup. We don't have any setup on that. And that would probably go for all the yen pairs, right? Aussie CAD, same thing. It's probably going to consolidate more, so we'll have to wait. Nothing to trade there as yet. Aussie, New Zealand, this one is going up, but it's going up as a consolidation. You can see this. So I'm not buying or selling this. I don't think this is worth trading. It's very slow. You can see how long it's still in the same range. If it starts to drop, the sell might be a good idea. The buy is too slow. Aussie, Swiss. Oh, you do have a perfect sell setup here. I like this one. We broke the top. See, we broke the top on this one. The Aussie CAD didn't break the top. See, that didn't break the top. And the Aussie Yen didn't break the top. See, this didn't break the top. So I'm not selling those. But guess which one I'm selling? Aussie Swiss, we broke the top. So for me, this is a perfect sell setup. If it wants to come down back now, it can come down from that point. So I've got a perfect sell in the Aussie Swiss. New Zealand Swiss. It didn't break the top. We're looking for the sell, but it didn't break the top. So there is a sell setup here, but pretty risky. I'll see. We'll consider that. New Zealand CAD. Nothing here. Stay away from this. This is just going sideways. You can see it's going sideways. I don't think it's ready for the upside as yet. New Zealand Yen. We bought this. It didn't break the top. That trade should have been closed somewhere here for profit. It's going sideways. We'll wait for it. It's probably making more of a sell setup than a buy setup. All right, it's more of a sell setup than a buy setup, but it's not ready as yet. So just wait. CAD Yen. This one we bought. This one should have been close to profit too. Based on our rules, you should get the hell out of that. But if you don't, you can still get break even out of it. We broke the low, but the only thing is it could probably be making a bigger flat here. If they do this, then we'll take the trade to the upside. You'll have to wait some more for this. Can we get a buy setup here? Maybe. Internally, if we get a buy setup here, we'll take it again. That'll be the P wave for a possible running flat. Swiss Yen. Okay, this one, if you bought, you closed. I didn't think we bought this, but if we pulled the order because it didn't tag at the time when we had it. But even if you bought it, you close the trade, right? It's not going anywhere. You had enough time to make that decision. We're going sideways here. Could it be a big sideways for upside? Possible. We don't have any buy setups. We also don't have any sell setups, so we'll have to stay away from this for a while. CAD Swiss. It's just going sideways and we're nowhere. See, it's a big sideways move like this, and we're literally nowhere in it. I think they're going to come back down. I believe this is coming back down to this level, and then we'd look for that trade up. So if we get a sell setup here, we might consider that sell, but once it breaks this low, any buy setup we get, we'll take it. See? So you might have to wait until the end of this week to get that trade to the upside. Follow me, maybe I'll make this a chart that I'll post on the 5-minute setups. So okay, guys, if you managed to stay to the end, thank you. If you like it, share it. To my YouTube traders, trade with care, and please share it. I'll see all of you later. Take care, thanks, and bye-bye.